Long time ago, we used to bring the boom with this music, but you know what? We're bringing the boom in a different way. This is 3-12-1. This is the New York Giants 2022 season. All my Big Blue, OGR Sports, bringing it right back at you. And you know what, OGR? It's time. It's time for some real talk.
I was just going to groove. That's all I was going to do tonight.
There's no time for grooving. There's no time for moving. There's time for only Giants. This is the premier Giant contact, says my mother. But you know what? I want to talk about the Giants in a serious tone this evening. I want to talk about the Giants compared to the NFC East. I want to delve right into it because you know what? I saw a thing on Twitter.
You just gotta stop going on that site.
I gotta stop.
True Social or something.
It is the Bermuda Triangle of sanity, Twitter. But somebody ranked, and it was a podcast creator, I think, and they ranked the NFC East, and their rankings were starting from first to last: the Giants, the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Washington team. Now, I looked at this and I said to him, and it was on Twitter, and I remember because I posted to him, whatever you are smoking, I need some of that. Because it's the only way you could come up with this type of ranking, I would say. But I want to go into each individual team before we get to the Giants. And I am curious, how would you currently rate or rank the NFC East right as it stands after free agency and after the draft?
Well, first, after that comment, you've actually got to, for people who are watching watching us talk in the video portion of it, you got to change the bottom of your thing to ODB.
I'm an old dirty bastard.
Yeah, because that's what that guy's going to think of you as that comment. Because let's face it, I mean, you're completely right. You are completely right. They're dead last. I mean, if anybody else thinks the Giants are dead last, I don't know what to tell you. We are the worst. We've been tied for the worst record in the league over the last 5 years. What makes you think that we're just going to suddenly turn it around and go from worst to first? That's not this type of team. And if we do, it's because everybody else had a catastrophic year where Dak Prescott would get hurt, Jalen Hurts goes down, and Carson Wentz, well, he just stinks up the joint. That's how this ends up happening.
But you
didn't have a rant in you, but I have a rant in me.
Did you not see the video of Daniel Jones running through the tackling dummies and throwing the ball? I mean, that right there should be worth at least 7 wins.
4 or 5.
4 or 5. At least 4 or 5. But if you had to rank the East right now, what is your ranking? We're gonna go. We'll go from bottom to the top. We're gonna go the opposite of this guy.
See, for me, I'm going to take the cheap way out. Eagles and Cowboys, 1A, 1B. Commanders, Giants.
That's not the bottom to the top. That's the
top. Bottom to the top. Giants, Commanders, 1A, 1B, Cowboys, Eagles. Either way you want to slice it.
Now, do you think at this point in time, and I know it's way too early, but do you? And it's happened a bunch of times. Do you think we're going to have 2 people coming out of the East for the playoffs? I mean, are the Cowboys and the Eagles that good?
No, we're not. I wish I.
You might want to expand on that a little bit because this is like a radio show. You got to actually talk.
I know. I mean, I just
we're not. Not with that. Next question.
I still see the West as the strongest division. You have the Rams, Arizona, and I'm drawing a blank in the 49ers.
Right.
And then Green Bay is still going to be up there, even with losing Devontae Adams. Yeah, everybody thinks they're going to take a step back, and then you have an MVP as a quarterback. Chicago may take a step forward here. Minnesota's always going to be a tough out. You go into, Tom Brady's coming back. I'm not going to count the guy out. We've counted him off how many freaking times, and the guy still goes to the Super Bowl. He's going to be 65 years old in a wheelchair throwing touchdown passes.
Could he play for the Giants?
At 65, no problem. He'd still be better than Daniel Jones at 65.
Sorry. Don't get me in trouble. I've already got in trouble with Daniel Jones.
Well, you're going to get more in trouble.
I don't want to get in trouble today.
And then, obviously Atlanta's going to be bad. There's really nobody else really contending in the South, Saints are going to be meddling. Carolina's not going to be very good. They're going to be middle of the pack.
There's Sam Darnold.
He sucks too. He's worse than Daniel.
Ooh, bold statement. Worse than Daniel Jones. See, I don't know, because I've already said now I would take Jared Goff over Daniel Jones.
Yeah, but Jared Goff actually has statistics.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He played on a worse. He put on a worse Detroit team and still put up better numbers than Daniel Jones.
Yeah. So
now about the Eagles, I want to talk about the Eagles for a second. James Bradbury. We're going to talk about him in a minute, but of course, James Bradbury went to the Eagles. The Eagles also picked up Jordan Davis. They also got AJ Brown. They have been busy in this offseason, especially for a team that made the playoffs last year. And even though made it possibly with the deficiency of his Jalen Hurts and his arm strength, but does the OGR crystal ball, are you staring at it right now and going, the Giants will do this? Are you staring at the crystal ball right now and saying that the Eagles have improved greatly from last year? Not at all from last year, and haven't improved at all, or are the same?
All right. So what I want you to do is kind of back in the day where people would hide stuff in their fro. Why don't you pull out your magic 8-ball from your fro-ish thing going on and tell me.
My son has the magic 8-ball. My son. I will have to just wait. I gotta wait and see. All right, I got Orlando Calrissian just in case we need that. But my son has the magic 8-ball right now.
All right. So, anyways, I think honestly, I said no team. We're not getting 2 teams out of the East. I do believe that. I think the Cowboys are taking a step back.
Okay.
And I think
are they taking a step back in offense or defense or both?
I think their defense is going to be fine. I think they take a step back on offense. I think the loss of Amari Cooper, I don't see a big touchdown threat on that team.
What about CJ Lamb?
CD Lamb, he's not bad, but now he's going to see more double coverage. With Amari, at least, he was going to get more single looks. Now he's going to be doubled, and it's up to Gallup to come in there and.
I was going to say about Michael Gallup as well. Here's the thing about Amari Cooper. Everyone sits there and bashes Amari Cooper. Everyone bashed Amari Cooper in Dallas. I'm not saying you, but everyone bashed him in Dallas. But then he turns around and leaves Dallas. Now Dallas is going to be crippled because Amari Cooper's not there.
I don't think they're going to be crippled, but I just think they're going to take a slight step back.
Okay. But what would be considered a slight step back? And if they are 1A, they're better than the Eagles.
No, they're. I said 1A, 1B. They're intermittent. You
can say they're interchangeable. You did not say that.
I'm pretty sure I did. We're going to have to go check that on the replay.
I will go check that because I am never wrong.
Oh, God, that's the best joke you've said in the first 5 episodes.
As I'm sitting here wearing my Malik Willis jersey. I am never wrong.
They're 1A, 1B because I don't see a repeat winner in this division. I could see the Commanders coming up. This, to me, it's still the NFC East. And that's what I'm trying to get at with this, is I don't see the complete consistency on any team. I know Cowboy fans want to sit there and play like, that they're the most complete team. I know Eagles fans want to play, act like they're the most complete team. And I don't even know what Commander fans are thinking. But the reality is
Carson Wentz.
They have Carson Wentz. But the reality is I'm not like, back in the 90s when Dallas was dominating, I was like, oh God, this is going to be a loss. This is going to be a loss. As a Giants fan, I know we should lose the game because the team on the other side of the field is better, but I don't fear these teams. And that maybe that's just a Giants fan of me, but I'm impressed, but I'm not impressed. If that makes any sense.
What do you think the Giants' interdivisional record is going to be if you're not impressed?
The Giants' individual record still won't be good. I think at best you go 3-3. I think most you do is pick up 2 wins. Maybe one off the Eagles, one off the Commanders, or something like that. That we're going to get swept by at least 1 team, if not 2.
See, I actually that's my point. I think the Giants will be swept in the division. I really do, by at least 2 teams. And I do think it's going to be Dallas, and I do think it's going to be the Eagles. Now, my conception is, though, with Washington, we have had Washington's number recently. And yes and no now we've had that recently because at one point 2 years ago, we should have been 1-1 because Riverboat Ron went for Went for the 2-point conversion instead. And I still send him a Christmas card every year just for that win. But you know what? I still think they could possibly split or they could sweep the Commanders, because I'm not 100% sold on Carson Wentz. I'm not 100% sold on that defense coming back to any type of consistency or any type. I don't know if that front five or that front four is going to be as good or as hyped up as people had them be. I'm going to date myself. They're not the purple people eaters.
I mean, that's not really dating yourself, by the way. I mean, I know who the purple peoples are. Purple people eaters are.
The seashells by the seashore.
Yeah, absolutely.
How much could a woodchuck check of a woodchuck could
you got it again. But for me, I see a lot of people overhyping the Giants' defensive line. Like, we're just going to lock in and start off and start sacking the quarterback 6 times a game.
Now, I did a video, I don't know if you saw it the other day, about the Giants defensive line. And I came out and clearly stated that I do not think that the Giants defensive line is the strength of this team. I've actually said it's going to be the linebacking core, because of the fact that people are not taking into consideration that Kayvon Thibodeau, Azeez Ojulari, Quincy Roche, they're mainly going to play outside linebackers in this 3-4. And they're all listed as linebackers. They're not listed as defensive ends.
But that's what people don't get. They don't understand how the 3-4 scheme works. They don't. A lot of people don't. And when I first started listening to you, the way you would describe it sometimes when I first started listening to you, now obviously I know you understand because, I've gotten to know you better. Even you sometimes would, I shouldn't say miscategorize it, because you've played defense, you know it better than I do. But the weak side linebacker in a typical 3-4 defense, is your Lawrence Taylor, is your guy that's constantly going after the pass rusher. I'm not saying they're not ass dropping the coverage. We did watch Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor was actually very, very astute in coverage.
Exactly. And, you're going to ask these guys to, cover his zone, hold the edge. The linebackers are the playmakers in a 3-4 scheme, and people don't realize that the guys knows the 2 defensive ends. All these guys are space eaters.
Right.
In a 3-4 scheme.
That's exactly what they are.
And that's all you're asking them to do, is to eat up multiple guys, 1 or 2 on a play.
Well, I don't want to correct you, but yes and no.
Well,
because the 3-4 scheme,
down distance and
space eater is going to be your nose tackle. Yeah. Or what used to be referred as a nose tackle. Then you have your two defensive ends. If you go back to the 86 Giants, they had 2 pass rushers. One was older than George Martin, but they also had the premier pass rusher on the same side as Lawrence Taylor with Leonard Marshall. So the space eater is usually, which is why Dexter, and I've said this before, I don't find Dexter Lawrence to be sufficient enough to play nose tackle. I don't find Leonard Williams sufficient enough to play defensive end. Only because of the fact that we've talked about this on multiple occasions. The defensive end and the linebacker, especially your outside linebacker's job, is not only to rush the passer, but it's to hold containment on the outside against the rush. And last year, I've said it right after the Cleveland game, the preseason game, they figured the Giants out in preseason. That was the same strategy. It was off tackle left, off tackle left, off tackle right, busted up the middle, go over the top. And that's what people, I think, don't understand with the 3-4 is Kayvon Thibodeau, Azeez Ojulari, and Roche are not going to be playing with their hand in the dirt. They are going to be in the stand-up outside position, either trying to blitz or maintain the rush. Maintain the edge against the rush. But I don't know how effective both these. We're asking a lot of young guys to come in and be pieces on a defense that is going to be an attacking style defense when we are not sure exactly how much coverage skills that they have on that outside position.
Well, don't forget, Wink also likes to use, different guys standing up at times to disguise what he's actually doing. So sometimes, you might see Azeez Ojulari standing up. Obviously you're right, but he might be lined up in the defensive end position. Or
they'll alternate. They'll move him around.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'm just saying, if you're going to look at 68 snaps a game, you are going to see. I'm going to guarantee you, the majority of these times, these guys on first and second down, unless it's second and long, are going to be playing standing up.
So you're telling me that sometimes they're going to blitz?
sometimes they're going to have to blitz. They're going to have to blitz because we're not going to be able to generate the rush from the defense. Think of it this way. Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams. Who do you have on the other side?
Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams. Who do you have on the other side?
That's see, it's not good.
Good question. Good question.
It's not good that you're sitting there and pausing.
Because no, it's not good that I'm sitting there and pausing, but you're right. I mean, why wouldn't I pause? It's not like I'm, I know all the 90 guys in the roster right now?
No, of course not. But you should be able to stay. I mean, I guarantee you, if you go through most defensive rosters right now, you could pretty much say, okay, this guy is going to be slated to here. This guy's going to be slated to there. This guy's going to be there. But when you look at the Giants' defensive front seven, it's very interesting how you're going to run a 3-4 style defense when you really don't have, I believe there's only 2 defensive ends listed on the Giants roster right now.
I mean, they are going to supplement Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence into those spots.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to supplement it. But the problem with that is, who's going to be the run stopper in the middle?
I mean, you have Mr. TJ Davidson out of Arizona State. You have Mr. Hinton out of Michigan. Come on now,
it's a problem solved. we could have used a guy like Dalvin Tomlinson. Who the hell? We could have used him.
We can't go back to that, Tim. That's beating a dead. Hey, you know what? I'll say you're right, but you're beating a dead horse.
I'm gonna beat this horse. I'm gonna beat this horse while it's in the grave.
Well,
because of the fact that we signed 2 guys last year.
I lost money on the Princess. I've watched enough horses get beaten.
I don't want to know what you do in your spare time. I don't know what you do for fun. I don't even want to know. But there are you see, you know what? I do find it interesting. It's not really prognosticators and it's not really beat writers that are talking about this. But you see other people, I'm not going to say who these other people are so convinced that the Giants defense is going to be phenomenal under Wink, that they're just going to turn, that everything we happened the last 2 years is going to be nothing. We're going to get off the field on third down. We're going to have 50 sacks this year, that we're going to have 12 interceptions, that there's going to be this massive turnaround. And I look at the talent on the roster and I just think to myself, where are they seeing this?
Here's the thing.
Tell me what the thing is.
Do you want to wait till the end of the episode? Because OGR at the end of the episode is going to go into his little OGR spiel, if you will.
Final thoughts with OGR.
Final thoughts with OGR. So if you guys hold on that, we're going to go into a little something called perception reality.
Ooh, I like this game. Okay. Is this a game or is this going to be just a speech?
That's going to be a speech, but we got to do it at the end of the stream. We can't.
I want perception reality now.
So you're telling me you want OGR's talk now is what you're telling me.
I want the talk. You know what I want?
Who? Did you order the code red?
I did the job. Did you order the code red? You're goddamn right I did.
I want it now.
Perception of reality. Most Giants fans right now are sitting there and pretending that, they're looking at it as sunshine and rainbows. It's a whole new slate. We have the Kafka. We have the Dable. We have the Shane. And we have the Wink. Everything's just going to be sunshine and roses.
First of all, I like to stop you. I'm the only one that adds the in front of everyone's name.
Okay.
So stop saying that. That's copyrighted. That's trademarked.
Oh, I'd like to see the legal document on that, my friend.
What do you mean we'd like to see the legal document on that? There you go.
If you're going to trademark it, you got to have something to prove it.
There you go. There's the trademark.
No. Trademark, not to use the position Ricky Bobby.
There you go. Trademarked again.
But the reality is, Giants fans, I don't know why. Maybe they just want to, hold on to the slimmest thread that this season won't be a throwaway season, when all implications say they are. When you have your coach telling you it's going to take 5 or 6 weeks for people to
it's Christmas.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't have time for these people.
You don't have time for Christmas? Scrooge.
So, but anyways, people need to stop calling me. They know. But anyways, when people I'm so bothered by that right now. Is that was you?
That was me.
All right. But anyways, getting back to where
oh my God, I can't get a hold of OGR.
So the reality is what annoys me is everything is sunshine and roses, and Giants fans are always looking at the most brightest outcome for each and every player.
Right.
Kayvon Thibodeau is going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Evan Neal is going to be the starting right tackle day one. He's going to wipe the floor with everybody in the league. Saquon Barkley is going to go and get 2,000 yards. Daniel Jones is going to throw for 4,000 yards. Wake Martindale is going to take a bunch of nobodies and turn them into somebodies, and we are going to have the #1 defense in the NFL. What crack are you smoking? Seriously, perception versus reality. The reality is 2 people before we even set foot on the field are not even going to start on this roster. You know why? Because they're going to go down because of an ACL or MCL or an ACL tear or whatever. That's the reality. It happens every year to most teams in the NFL. You lose two starters coming right out of camp. You just cross them off. Whoever you want to pick, just cross it off because that's what's going to happen. The reality is Daniel Jones is not a very good quarterback, and Dable's not going to suddenly make him into a better one. The reality is that the Giants have been 22-52 over the last 5 years. Where the talent, the roster has been devoided for talent for over 10. It's suddenly going to be the best team in the NFL. Like, what crack are we smoking? Perception versus reality.
I would say good crack.
I mean, I know that was a little friggin' like long-winded and like.
Well, I don't think it was long-winded,
but it just and the phone didn't help. But yeah, it annoys the hell out of me.
I know, and I'm sitting here. Actually, I'm getting text. Just because people can't figure stuff out. Hold on, I gotta text another person here.
All right, so this is the fun tip of doing it live.
That's what the fun is in doing it live, because I'm gonna get like 50 messages because I've just told this person stop texting me. So that means they're gonna have to text me a little bit more. So you're saying that Giants fans don't have reality?
No, they don't, and I understand that something is new. You have the new car.
But do you think you're painting that with a broad brush, though?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Okay. Tell me right now, out of last year, over the last 5 years, tell me a consistent player on this team. Not consistently bad, consistently good.
The last 5 years, or
the last 5 years. Give me any player that's been consistently good besides Graham Gano.
Well, he's only been here 2 years.
Yeah, anybody who's been consistent over the last 5 years.
I'm going to say who's been consistent for 5 years. Nobody.
There you go.
Nobody. I mean,
now give me somebody on the Kansas City Chiefs that's been consistent for the last 5 years.
Well, Tyreek Hill's gone. Patrick Mahomes is still there. Travis
Kelce.
I mean, okay. Okay.
You can go to any team in the NFL and get besides maybe the Jets and maybe the Lions and any good team. You can give me a player that's been consistent over the last 5 years. The reality is the Giants don't have a good roster, and good rosters are built. And when you've been as bad as we are, reality is the Giants aren't going to be good this year. That's reality. They'll improve. They should improve with a new coaching staff, but it's going to take some time. And that improvement's not going to happen until week 12, 13, 14, 15. And by that time, we'll probably be out of playoff.
Well, by week 14, unless we're playing 47 weeks. Did they change the schedule again?
What did I say? 20-something? I said 12, 13, 14, I thought.
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying, but you're like, yeah, by week 14, we're probably, since there's only 17 games, we'll probably be out of schedule. We'll probably be out of the playoff race by week 14. If OGR could go to the multiverse, I just learned what that was the other day.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
I just learned what that was the other day. And you go to the multiverse and you could speak to Giant fans in these different universes. And you could tell them something or give them, I don't want to say hope, but give them advice about not being a better fan, but maybe being, I don't even want to say a more intelligent fan, but what advice would you go out to the multiverse and tell these people about the Giants, about what's happened the last 10 years, and about what's happening now with Shane, with the Dable, with the Kafka?
I've actually answered this before.
I know, but I liked your answer.
Learn your history. Learn the history of the New York Giants. If you learn the history, then you'll understand that the Giants, that's why me and Tim, even though I'm ranting and screaming, are relatively so calm and probably the most realistic Giants fans you'll meet. And that's why people love Tim or hate Tim or love me or hate me, because my opinion might not be the best all the time, but at the end of the day, I have an opinion and I stick to it.
I got a lot of hate. I get a lot of hate.
Learn the history of the New York Giants. If that's all you know is Eli Manning, go back farther.
Now, the reason why I asked you this question, yes, you have given me this pontification before, but I had someone leave a comment about this because one of my responses on Twitter was learn your history. And his comment was, and I think he was probably in his 20s by looking at some of the pictures on this thing. His comment was, what will learning Giant history do for me or offer for me to make me a better fan now? Because he even said it, I didn't live the history. I'm only reading about it. And he's even said, I only know Eli Manning as my quarterback. But his point was, I thought his point was interesting. And because I kind of had to think about it before what I told him, but his question was, what does learning Giant history going to do, or what will it do for me as a Giant fan now?
You'll realize what cycle the Giants are in, and you'll shut your mouth. That's the reality. Because if you knew Giants history, you wouldn't say something so goddamn stupid. Seriously.
That's my line. That's my line. Don't steal it.
What am I, the old guy in his 50s? I mean, I swear. I'm only 38 years old.
That would be me. That would be me. But look at the guns, though, man. I got the guns still.
You got bigger guns than I do. I mean, I swear to God, if I show my guns, they'll go the opposite direction.
I got the guns, though. Someone said to me today when I was riding the bike, they're like, "Dave, you got big arms." I was like, "Well, thank you." So too bad it matches my stomach. But my thing to him was this. I told him basically the same thing. I said that you would understand that football is secular. You're going to have your ups. You're going to have your downs. You're going to
stop you right there. There's no way at 20 years old he knows the word secular. So you lost him right there. But keep going.
I might not have used secular. And I might not, but and I try to explain, you're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs. And then to his point, he actually countered with the fact that he was like, well, what about teams like the Lions? What about teams that have been bad for what may seem like an eternity?
Can I answer this?
Well, I'm going to ask a question first. He goes, what about those teams? And do you think that maybe the Giants are just on that cycle of maybe not having the best luck in the world and maybe only being in a 20-year window where they maybe only make the playoffs once or twice?
There's a reason why the Lions and the Jets and the Cleveland Browns have been as bad as they have, and that's called bad ownership. And if you have bad ownership, there's not a single thing you can do about it. And I've suggested that John Mara is that bad of an owner and is on the level of Mr. Haslam. I've suggested that in the past. So if John Mara has gone that deep, that far, there's no bringing the Giants back into prominence. You can get a billion GMs, you can get a billion coaches, you can get a billion different players. It does not matter. If you have bad ownership equals bad decision making means bad team for a very long period of time. And it has nothing to do with luck or not. Yes, sometimes it helps when the ball bounces in your court, like the Giants have with Eli Manning. But you know what? Though you still need the players on the field to produce. You need coaches that can produce. And the Giants ownership is the only constant over the last 10 years.
Now, here's a question, though, for you. Here's one of my questions. John Mara's won 2 Super Bowls. So all of a sudden he forgot how to be an owner?
Well, I mean, when you have Ernie Accorsi and you really don't need to think.
Well, Ernie Accorsi was, if you're going with history, Ernie Accorsi was not there when they won that Super Bowl in 2007.
No, he wasn't, but it was still his players.
Oh, it was his team. It was his free agents. But then people can say, but the problem with that is Jerry Reese drafted all the guys in 2007 that helped contribute to that Super Bowl. He did the same thing in 2011.
And he can say that all he wants. Who drafted the quarterback?
Well, yeah.
And there you go.
Ernie,
Who hired the coach?
John Mayer.
Well, actually, was Ernie, of course, no, was he? Did he hire Coughlin? I thought he did.
Yeah, but it had to get approved by ownership.
Yeah, I had to get approved by ownership. But let's face it,
John Mara. Look at me. I'm defending the Giants. Look at
you.
I'm wearing my tight jersey defending the Giants. I'm the good guy.
I mean, yes. And I know I went a little far with that statement.
All hate emails should go to ogrsports@ogrsports.com.
There's no such email like that.
That was the joke.
All right, cool. Yeah, go ahead. Send them to there all you want. I really feel bad for somebody who has that email. Anyways.
Yeah, because so many people have OGR Sports and OGR Sports.
If you learn your Giants history, Wellington wasn't considered the best owner, and then the league.
Wellington was a terrible owner in the 70s.
Yes, he was. And then the league gifted him George, the Hall of Famer.
No. That story is 100% false.
Really?
It's even in Wellington Mara's biography. They did not force George Young on the Giants. I am going to now drop some knowledge. I wish I had the anvil sound. After the Miracle in the Meadowlands, Wellington Mara went to Pete Rozelle and said, "Hey, listen, can you recommend a quality young GM?"
By the way, I was not saying he was forced.
No, but he was
gifted.
He wasn't gifted. He was asked because he still had to get him away from Baltimore. So he asked Mr. Rozelle, "Is there someone in the league that we could take a look at that could help revamp our team?" And I find it funny because he talks about this young guy in Baltimore. Now, if you've ever seen George Young as a young guy, he still looks like he was 70.
Yes, he did.
I mean, I swear, if you ever seen pictures of him, he still looks like he was like 70 years old, even when he was 40. So the league never pulled rank, never said you have to hire George Young. Wellington Mara was smart enough as an owner to know that he screwed up enough in the 70s, especially after Pisarcik turned around and tried to hand the ball off to Zonka and Edwards takes it in, that he knew that he went to the league and the league just gave them guidance on who they should interview. There was no forcing, or I hate when people tell me that, and I'm not yelling at you, but I hate when people tell me that story because that story's so fucking wrong.
It is wrong. But I mean, how many times is the league really giving, a nudge, honk, honk today this way? Maybe you should lean this way. I don't think that's happening as often as, it did in the past.
They ran the owner out of Dallas in the NBA.
True.
The league did. There's a couple instances where there was, it was a couple of years back, and it was when which is going way back. It was when the Cardinals were still in the East in St. Louis. There was talk before they moved to Arizona that the league could potentially take over the St. Louis Cardinals because they were run so poorly. Until then, they sold the team and then they moved it over to Arizona. See what happens when you're old?
Hey, well, dude, but it's called wisdom.
Yes, that's what
it's not a bad thing.
I call it
that's generally how most people learn their history is from people with wisdom.
Well, don't listen to me then, because I only know wisdom about football. So
then that's good, because then you can. Well, you're not going to be able to talk these Giants fans off the ledge, but you could attempt to.
I've given up doing that. To be honest, I've given up. There was a thing on.
You have not given up. You trying to give that kid advice on Twitter.
I tried to get. Because I'm stupid.
You've not given up, Tim. You're never going to give up. Giving up is not in your nature.
I am dumb as dumb can be, because I was on Twitter, and there was a video, not the Daniel Jones video, but there was this video of these people jumping around, the Giants players jumping around after practice, and then somebody who happens to be a content creator said. And I didn't know they were a content creator until someone emailed me, told me they were, said, "Look at the infectious energy going on right now in Giant camp." And I laugh because I think back the last 2 seasons. And I had to hear about the infectious energy from Joe Judge and how everyone loves him and how everyone's doing this and how everyone's doing that. And I said this before. I thought the Giant fan made a turn at the end of the season. I thought they made a turn away from the dark side. And I thought they made a turn to understanding what we were going to be. But to see someone sit there, to see players jumping around in a huddle and saying, well, that's infectious energy, and it's May, I just feel like it's, again, going to be secular, that we're going to go through this, and we're going to have to hear the 11, 12 wins, until the kickoff in August, and then turn around, and then, we're going to be some point in time 3-7. And then these same fans are going to be like, well, we're just a win away from getting back into contention. Do people not get sick of that? I mean, honestly, I get sick of hearing it. I don't know how many times I don't know how many times I wanted to yell at people, because it's like, okay, we're 4-7. We're not in playoff contention. I remember after 2 years ago, after the Seattle game, we are still under 500, but we were still getting ready to make the playoffs. We were making our move. We were making the run.
At that point, people are grasping at straws. I mean, that's what it is. They're looking for something to hold on to, because they've been that bad and they're tired of rooting for a bad team, but they don't, they're maybe a diehard and they don't want to pull away. I mean, to me, I keep telling you, if you're a Giants fan long enough, they will beat you into submission.
What would you consider a diehard fan now? I know what I considered a diehard fan being back to the 70s, 80s, and 90s and early 2000s. But what would you consider what would be your definition of a Giant diehard fan in 2022?
First off, you can't just be a player fan. That's a big thing now. A lot of people are not becoming fans of teams. They're becoming fans of players. I'm guilty of this myself when it comes to Premier League. I started rooting for Chelsea because of Christian Pulisic, and if he leaves,
well, I'm not guilty of that at all. I don't just root for one guy.
Nope. You're not a Malik Willis fan at all. Nope, definitely not. You just don't bring the boom at all. But that's the big thing. A lot of people you don't know if you're talking to a Giants diehard fan. Maybe they're just a really big Saquon Barkley fan and they're rooting for the Giants because of that. Of Saquon Barkley and wanting to see Saquon Barkley succeed. You do have a lot of that. But what a diehard fan to me is somebody who's been following the team for a while, cares to learn their history, knows a little bit about the Giants, and can have some somewhat recollection beyond Eli Manning, if you will. And people will say, well, I'm 20 years old. That's unfair. Well, I'm 38 years old. Why do I know about Steve Pisarcik? Why do I know about Lawrence Taylor?
Do you know about Joe Pisarcik?
Yeah, Joe. I flubbed the name, okay? But you get it.
I get it.
So, but
OGR is like, why did I fucking agree to do this? I thought he was an asshole.
All he wants to do is embarrass me. That's all he does.
I thought he likes me.
He just wants to poke fun at me. But the reality is, he's about to spit his water. It's hilarious.
Actually, I was for a minute there.
But that's the thing. It's I cared to go on and learn my history,
right,
and learn about the Giants, learn about Wellington Mara, learn about the trials and tribulations. Why are the Giants the Giants? Why am I a Giants fan? What about this team do I like? Stuff like this is just questions that young Giants fans should be asking if you want to call yourself a diehard. You should know that Jeff Hostetler started a Super Bowl. You should know Phil Simms started a Super Bowl. You should know that I was about to say Phil Collins. Kerry Collins started a Super Bowl. And you should know that Eli Manning should start a Super Bowl. That's my biggest test. If your team has been to multiple Super Bowls, you should be able to tell me, as a Patriots fan, yes, I know most of them are Tom Brady, but there's one other one that started a Super Bowl. You should know if you're a diehard Patriots fan. Same with the Dallas Cowboys. You should know beyond just Troy Aikman. So,
just beyond Troy Aikman. There was someone beyond Troy Aikman.
Roger Staubach,
Craig Morton.
Yep.
Who also sucked for the Giants. I had told the story a million times how I cried when my grandmother gave me a Craig Morton jersey for Christmas. I don't want, and that number 15 is still hanging somewhere in the closet because I never wore it. and I will never wear it. I don't fit in it now. but if I did, my thing about diehard fans is this, and this is going to be my question to you. So a 20-year-old, if they know their history, can they be a diehard fan?
Yes.
But what if they are not very astute in football acclimate?
I mean, do you understand the game? Do you basically know, do you know the rules of the game? Do you know what a penalty is? You need to, you don't need to be the most astute person. Like my uncle, who's played football, is one of the dumbest fans when it comes to being astute and what's going on in the field, but he knows his Giants history.
That's important. And I agree with that. I go back to, like I said,
It's about passion too. It's about passion.
And that's where I was going to go. I go back to the Meadowlands. I was there in '76 when they opened. I've told the story a million times. And
my imaginary talent, by the way.
You were, and and I've said this a million times before. The fan base between the '70s and the '80s and the '90s are totally different because of the fact that back then, and people don't remember, back then there was like a 35-year waiting list for Giant season tickets. Now you can go online and get them. They actually, especially in the Meadowlands, they willed people their spot in line to get season tickets. And I always thought that was interesting because to me that was always a diehard. That you're 80 years old, you're about to drop dead, but the first thing you're thinking of, well, I'm going to will my spot 17,498 to my grandkids, so maybe they can get tickets in 10 years. There was like a 30-year waiting list for season tickets, and I always felt that when you went into the stadium, I always, especially like I said now, because I always sat in the stands when I was younger. I stand on the field most of the times now, but I always was in the stands, and you could talk to the older Giant fans. You could talk to the younger Giant fans, and they seem to know, to your point, history. I don't spend a lot of time in the stands now, but a lot of times when you talk to the people in the stands, you're like, are they there for and I think I like your point. Are they there for the Giants, or are they there for Saquon Barkley? Or are they there for Daniel Jones? And I've said this before. There's too many people on the Giants in my mind, especially the last 5 years, that played for the name on the back, not the logo on the front. And I've said that a few hundred times, and I still think that. And I hope that there is going to be, and I hate to use it, a culture change. Because Joe Judge used it way too many times, that he was changing the culture.
Now, I believe the culture change will be natural inside the locker room, inside the Giants locker room. I don't ever think you'll see a culture change back to the way things were.
In what era?
As far as fans, I don't ever. What you're going to see is fans getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Like fans just think that year to year you can just suddenly become a champion.
You can't.
No.
That's what the Knicks think.
It
won a championship since what, 73?
Because next year, you watch. If we have a mediocre season this year, let's say we have 6 wins, that's enough to get a lot of Giants fans happy. That's maybe enough to keep Daniel Jones around if he has, a decent year. Maybe we lose a lot of close games. Something you can hang your hat on. Maybe the defense is playing up to snuff toward the end of the year, and you're feeling confident as a Giants fan going into next year. How many of these fans are going to be like, go to free agency and spend the entire load?
Now that's going to be my last question to you, and then we're going to do OGR's thoughts. Daniel Jones.
Did OGR's thoughts?
No. You got to do your last segment. Shut up and listen. Shut up. I'm talking.
I want to cry.
What is it going to take? I've said this before, and people debated me multitudes of times. I've said it before. I said, I think if even Daniel Jones has an average season, that they're going to let him go, because as a head coach, as a general manager, you want to win with your quarterback. You don't want to win. You don't want to win with a 4-year retread that's had one good year. If he has a good year this year, add a 4 and think you're going to win, because you don't want to get fired with someone else's garbage. Is there a scenario that the Giants are almost stuck keeping Daniel Jones, tagging him, spending the $30 million to keep him for one more season? Or is there nothing that he can do this year that will quantify his value to this Giant organization right now in this ownership?
fans are going to kill me for saying this. I believe the worst possible scenario for the Giants is for Daniel Jones to overachieve, the Giants have a winning record, and the Giants potentially make the playoffs. That's the worst possible scenario. And you're like, oh my God, why are you saying this, OGR?
I would actually take that scenario.
You would take that scenario.
I would take it.
But I don't trust Daniel Jones to be good in year 2 after that.
I agree.
I don't trust him. Anybody can have a flash in the pan year. That doesn't mean you should go out and pay the guy. I'm sorry. It's all about consistency.
King of the almost sacked.
Whatever do you mean?
And I'm not saying I'm rooting for my team to go. I'll be ecstatic if the Giants play. I'll be rooting. I'll be coming on here rooting to be like, oh my God, we're going to make the playoffs. I never think this is going to happen. I'm glad I'm wrong. But what it is you could be setting yourself up for failure farther down. Why I think the Giants are not going to be that great is because I'm in reality. I live in reality. I don't see it. I hope I'm wrong. But I'm just saying that I don't see Daniel Jones the future of the Giants. I don't. And if we have a very good season, you are not drafting a quarterback in next year's draft. Or you're going to be drafting one that maybe you're not as high on as you would have if you had a better draft pick. And I'm not even on the CJ Stroud or
you're not on the Bryce Young or CJ Stroud.
Bandwagon. I've been on record. I like Jaron Hall out of BYU. That's who I think it is. That's my Malik Willis now.
My Malik Willis. Still Malik Willis.
Yes. Well, I mean, I'm referring to Malik Willis because I thought the Giants should have drafted him. But that's neither here nor there.
Did you not to talk about Malik Willis, but did you see that they did a poll of fans, Tennessee Titan fans, and the majority, I think it's like 68%, want Malik Willis to start the first game of the season. That's how down they are on Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah,
even I don't think he should start the first week of the season.
No, I'm not. I don't want this poor kid to get. He needs time. He needs time to develop. I don't want him starting. If Titan fans were smart, they would hold off.
Oh, I know, but I just think that they're so much they're in such despair after the last two fiascos that Tannehill has in the last two playoff games. I don't think
I understand that, but even if, like, let's say Tannehill wins those playoff games, like, do you really think the Titans are going to the Super Bowl?
No.
Exactly.
See, I think the problem with Tannehill is he comes off like a dick, and that's his problem. That's what people say about me. So I mean, so I understand. I relate to his problem.
So what you're telling me is you should change that jersey on your back.
Hell no, man! I'm wearing this all season long.
I'm buying you a Ryan Tannehill jersey. I'm sending it to your house. I don't care if you burn it.
You'd wear it. You know what's funny? Oh, you know what's? Hold on, wait a minute. Before the show started, I changed. I literally changed, and I have to laugh because I didn't want this touching everything because I was out on the bike and I was doing some yard work and I was working on some of the bikes. But I changed from this shirt I have right here to my jersey, and people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, you have that shirt?" And I wear it all day today. That's what I had on all day today. See, my thing is this: you don't have to be a fan and wear only Giant gear. You know, you could be a fan of, like I said, I'm a fan of different players on different teams. And I have different
I am to a certain extent. I draw the line at wearing rival gear. That's where I am. Why? I view it as a sin.
No such thing as a sin.
Well, hey, it's to each.
There's 7 of them or 10 commandments or whatever. But
that's one of my Giants. That's one of my 10 commandments as far as being a Giants fan.
See, when you hit 50 plus, because there's a plus on that 50. When you hit 50 plus, you don't give a shit anymore.
Oh, you don't have to give a shit. I mean, even if I'm 50 plus, I'm telling you right now, you're never going to catch me in an Eagles Super Bowl jersey.
I laugh because my wife is much younger than me, and she figured out just a couple of years ago.
You know what's kind of funny is your wife's younger than you, but my wife's older than me.
Oh, she's a cradle robber.
Yeah.
Well, my wife's. Let's just say there's a 14-year gap.
Let's just say
Beat my wife. But she just
so
figured out.
you're a cradle robber.
Yes, I am. I don't deny that. Let's just say this. It's you reach a point, and I've told her this, when you reach a point, and she's learned this at a younger age, that you just don't care. That stuff like this doesn't matter. That you can't worry about it, what other people think. You can't worry about what other situations you're in, that, because I've said it before, you're here one minute, you're gone the next. Who the hell cares what someone you don't know or someone that types something on YouTube or Twitter is going to say about you? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything.
100%.
So I always laugh. So I always tell people, me wearing an Eagles jersey don't fucking matter. I've actually worn an Eagles jersey to an Eagle game.
Hey, to each their own. I'm not personally, I'm not going to judge you. I just something I wouldn't do.
Don't judge me.
But the reality is, I've learned that, and actually, what taught me that was YouTube.
Yeah,
because I didn't have the toughest skin when I first got on YouTube. Now I don't give a shit. Now I probably run my mouth a little too much.
I don't do that. That's just not. That's just
liar.
That's just not right. We're gonna go into a new segment. We're not gonna go into a new segment. We are going to go into the segment. It's known as, that's a say sore, dramatic pause, OGR's thoughts. OGR, what are your giant thoughts that are going to close out this episode and make everything so much better?
See, you had me go into my perception and reality rant.
Yeah, hello.
At like the 20-minute mark, and I wanted to save this for the end. We didn't even get to talk about James Bradbury.
Yeah, you said you didn't want to talk about James Bradbury. I said, screw it, I'm not going to talk about him. He's an egg.
Well, guess what? Now that's going to be my segment, talking about James Bradbury.
You can't talk about James Bradbury. I'm not going to allow it. Because you said you don't want to do that.
I said I didn't care about James Bradbury, and I still don't. But the
reality why do you want to talk about him?
Because the Giants did him dirty. Let's face it. That's why I want to talk, because the Giants did do him dirty.
Yes, they did.
And I'm glad he understands it. Because at the end of the day, this is a business. And, you have, and that brings us to our next point. Don't smoke crack. I
don't know.
Gentlemen, what brings me to my next point. Don't smoke crack.
I got the right button.
But that does
That's what she said.
everything. That does tie into everything that we've been talking about. And that is, you can't care what people think, and you can't really you can tie yourself to an organization, but don't be surprised when they walk away.
I like it.
I mean,
I like it.
And it's sad that he did walk away. I mean, he's the Giants.
He didn't walk away. They kicked him out.
Well, they kicked him out, whatever. But it is sad that he's gone. But this just opens up a new chapter for the Giants. They're not going to be as good in the secondary, if they would have kept him. But you've said it, and I've said it for a while. There was just no way they were going to keep the guy unless they were willing to, push money to other years. And Joe Shane was like, no, I'm not going to make the fatal mistake that other organizations have done, or other GMs have done for this organization.
Right. I would say other regimes have done for the Giants.
And other organizations have done it too. So
yeah, well, yeah, we're not the only ones that screw up all the time. There's plenty of other teams that have made these fatal errors. But you know what? As Giant fans, we're going to deal with it. We're going to live with it. We're going to move forward with it. We're going to do everything that we need to do to be the fans. And right now, here comes the intro. Here comes the outro music, I should say. And again, this is Tim and OGR Sports. Can't even talk. This is Tim and OGR Sports, bringing you the best in Giant content for the 2022 season. This is 3-12-1, the 2022 Giants. And we wish you a fond adieu. And thank you for listening. And thank you for being there. OGR, take your bow, because we are out of here.